Welcome, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started here. Um, Perfect. Thank you. I was just going to ask for the PowerPoint. So welcome to our third installment of Davenport Dialogues. My name is Whitney. I'm the Director of Alumni and Donor Engagement, and I've got Eric Dane, who is working in the background on all of our technical side of things. We are excited for our third episode, which is successfully planning for your child's college experience. Before we get started and I introduce Alyssa, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you are not familiar with Blackboard Collaborate, which is the program that we are on for this presentation, in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a little purple box. If you open that up, you'll be able to click on the chat function. If throughout this presentation you have any questions or anything clarifying that you are looking for, please feel free to put those questions or comments in that chat box. I will be monitoring that chat box, and throughout the presentation, we'll stop and ask those questions and see what Alyssa has to say. Otherwise, we will have an opportunity for a Q&A at the very end of this presentation. So, without further ado, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Alyssa Andrews, who is our Director of Admissions here at Davenport University. Alyssa, thank you so much for doing this with us, and we're really excited to hear what you have to say today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Whitney, and thank you to the rest of the alumni team for having me as a guest speaker today. As Whitney did state, my name is Alyssa Andrews, and I'm the Director of Admissions. So I oversee a team of admissions employees, including our admissions representatives and our student ambassadors that help to assist high school students in making a smooth and seamless transition from high school to Davenport University. I've been with the university for 10 years now, so I'm definitely an experienced Davenport employee, but I'm also an alum, I guess. I have earned both my BBA and my Master's of Management from DU. So again, thank you so much for having me today, and I look forward to sharing with you a little bit more about how to successfully plan for your child's college experience. Today's webinar, we are going to be talking about three main things. The first being fit. How do you find the right fit in a university? Does it feel right? Secondly, we'll take a brief dive into navigating the financial aid process, which I'm sure is probably the biggest part of most everyone's concern when it comes to looking to the future into a college or university. And then lastly, we will talk about what is a typical college timeline and other important deadlines that you should be aware of surrounding the college decision-making process. All right, so finding the right fit in a college or university really starts with developing a vision for what your child wants their college experience to look like. It's important that you're involved in helping your child to develop this vision. And when developing this vision that will, in essence, help you decide what the right fit is for your student, there are three key areas to consider. The first, academic and student life offerings. Second, the admissions requirements, or what's the admissions criteria? How do I get in? And third, what are the demographics, or what is the feel of the university? All right, first and foremost, what schools offer the program or degree that your student is interested in? Time and time again, we connect with students who want something, a degree program or a major that we just don't offer. Davenport specifically specializes in business, technology, and health. When we advise these students that we don't have the program and they choose something different, it's an moment, because I don't want students to compromise what their career goals are just to go to a specific school. Sometimes we have students who say that they're interested in Davenport or they're interested in another university just because their best friend is going there or their boyfriend or girlfriend are attending that university. I can't stress it enough. Please do not let your student compromise their degree interest for a specific school. Secondly, what hobbies and interests does your student have? There will definitely be time outside of studying, and the college experience is a great time for your student to learn more about themselves. So what groups or RSOs are available at the different schools that you and your student are considering? Here at Davenport, we offer different RSOs such as BPA, Business Professionals of America, DECA, Student Government, etc. There's lots to get involved in, and you want to make sure that the university or college that you're looking at has some extracurriculars that match your hobbies or interests. Another important question for students to consider is whether or not athletics are important to the student, whether it's varsity and competing on the actual collegiate team or just intramural. It's something to think about, staying active and staying healthy. Here at Davenport, we offer both. We are NCAA Division II, and we do offer a variety of intramural sports just for fun as well. Years ago, we had a dodgeball team that got together a couple times a week, which was a really fun experience for us to be spectators in as well. Additionally, it's important for you and your student to consider the career development opportunities that they might have within a given institution. You want to ask yourself, will my student be able to do an internship and get hands-on experience to add to their resume? Here at Davenport, we require a built-in internship or experiential learning opportunity to help your student build up their resume in every degree program, whether it's business, technology, or health. And then lastly, you want to consider whether or not the school that you're interested in offers the support that your student needs or could need in order to be successful. So what are the different class formats? Are they all in seat? Do they offer some virtual options such as real-time virtual or online-led classes? Do they offer tutoring, and is there a cost attached to that tutoring? Here at Davenport, we do offer free tutoring both in person and online for all of our Davenport students. Are there study groups on campus, and are there study areas on campus so that your student can put their studies first and really get the most out of their educational experience? The second thing that you want to consider when developing your college vision is admissions and the admissions requirement, and what does the application process look like? First of all, you want to look at what is the average GPA and ACT or SAT score of students that are usually or typically accepted to that school. You want to consider academically, is your student competitive for the school's admissions criteria? Here at Davenport University, we are looking for a 2.0 high school GPA and a 940 SAT or 18 ACT score, for example. Secondly, you want to find out what it takes to complete the admissions application for that school. There are different things to think about or to ask your admissions representative when looking into a university. For example, does the school accept the common application? Is there an application fee? If so, what is the fee? Does the school require an entrance exam such as the AccuPlacer? Is there a required essay or admissions interview? Each university and college is a little bit different, so it's important to ask those questions. You also must understand the cost to attend the university and what financial aid or scholarships are available to your student. Don't just consider the sticker price. I can't stress that enough. Time and time again, parents or students will be deterred from a university or school just because of the sticker price or what the website lists as a credit hour or the tuition price. But rarely is the sticker price actually the price that students pay once you take into consideration all of the scholarships and financial aid that are out there for students. Here at Davenport University, 95% of all of our students receive some sort of financial aid. And then lastly, is the school or university that you're interested in early credit compatible? Here at Davenport, we have high school students that transfer in as many as 60 credits sometimes. That is a huge savings of time and money. To put that in perspective, those students with those 60 credits are about halfway through their bachelor's degree program. Students earn this credit through a few different types of modalities. First, they could be taking AP or advanced placement courses in high school that translate into college credit here at Davenport. They could dual enroll, specifically with Davenport University or another college or university. There could be articulation agreements with your local high schools or tech centers that translate into college level credit for completing certain classes or courses within the tech center, or there could be a middle college program as well. Again, if you've put in the time and effort in high school to doing these things, such as taking AP classes or going to a school or tech center with an articulation agreement, then you want to make sure that the university that you attend is going to work for you and award you for all of that work that you've put in. The last key area that you want to discuss and take a look at when developing that key vision for your college experience is the demographics. Find out what the school feels like. There's hundreds of universities and colleges out there, each being in a different location and a different setting. So you not only want to look at the university and the campus itself, but you want to look at the surrounding atmosphere as well. Is it close to a metropolitan city? Is it in a rural area? How big is it? How many students are on campus? Not only how many students are on campus, but how many live on campus? What does the diversity or the student body makeup look like, such as race, gender, age? And whether or not a religious affiliation is important to you. These are all things to consider when thinking about the demographics of a potential college or university. So now you may be asking, what do I know now? Or what do I do now? Now that you've considered the 3 key areas of developing a college vision, it is time to do some research on the schools your student is interested in to see if the school matches the criteria of that college vision. Once you've narrowed it down to a handful of schools that match your vision, it's then time to apply. Remember, many schools allow you to apply through the Common App. The Common Application is basically one application that you can fill out entering a bunch of information about your student, and then you can add different universities to your cart so that you can apply to more than one school at the same time. If you are planning to do the Common Application, I want you all to know that Davenport does participate in the Common App, which is cool, and we are a free application process as well. Whether you go through the Common App or you do an individual admissions application, which other universities have in offer also, you could go that route and fill out the internal application instead. Sometimes the internal application is a bit shorter, like here at Davenport, than the Common App, but either way, know that it's free to apply here at Davenport. Once you've done some online research, developed that vision, and started to fill out your online applications, then it's time to start visiting campuses. There are different options when it comes to visiting campuses that can kind of take some of the pressure off of that college decision-making process. Some of those options are group tours, such as the walk-in talks that Davenport offers every Tuesday and Friday, which give you a chance to be in a small group with other prospective students and get a tour of campus. There are individual one-on-one appointments as well. And then also keep your eye out on the universities that you're interested in, their websites. They'll definitely post recruitment events such as athletic events like homecoming, open houses, or other specific events that highlight and showcase their school and areas of interest. All right, so far we've talked about finding the right fit for your student's college choice and how to develop that college vision. Now we are going to discuss how you're going to pay for it while reviewing some financial aid basics, such as your FSA ID, the FAFSA, and different types of financial aid that are offered. First things first, everyone is going to need to create an FSA, which stands for Federal Student Aid ID. You can create and manage your FSA ID at fsaid.ed.gov. fafsa.gov, as you can see there on the slide. When you get to the website, this is what the main page will look like. Both the student and the parent will need to create their own individual FSA ID. This is created with the date of birth and social security number, so each person again needs to make their own. You will need an email address to create the FSA ID, and since you will continue to use your FSA ID year after year, I definitely encourage you to use a personal email address and not one that's related to school or work, because you don't want to ever get locked out of your FSA ID account. Please be sure not to share your FSA ID. Your FSA ID is your electronic signature and gives you access to all Department of Education websites, so it's very important that you keep it confidential. If you have any questions or are experiencing technical difficulties with your FSA ID, you can definitely reach out at the number on the bottom of your screen at 1-800-4FED, F-E-D, AID, A-I-D. All right. After you and your student both create your FSA ID, you can then start filling out the FAFSA. The FAFSA is your free application for federal student aid. Please, everyone, notice my emphasis on free. You should never pay to fill out or file the FAFSA. If you are on a website that is asking you to, then you are definitely on the wrong site. FAFSA is completed completely for free at fafsa.ed.gov or at studentaid.gov. Students can begin filling out their FAFSA as early as October 1st of the student's senior year. The earlier, the better. There is a lot of aid out there that is awarded to students on a first come, first served basis. Now we'll get into the FAFSA and what it looks like. So here's a couple of pro tips that I've learned over the years. First, you want to complete your FAFSA based on the day you fill out your FAFSA. So for example, if it's asking your marital status, you're going to answer that question as to what it is today on the day you're filing your FAFSA. Secondly, on the right-hand side of the FAFSA application, there's a helps and hints sidebar. This sidebar changes information with each question that you are asked. So if you are hesitant or not sure how to answer a question, definitely hover over the sidebar to garner some more information as to what that question is asking about. In order to fully complete the FAFSA, there are 7 sections to complete. The first section is going to ask about your student's demographic information. This is basic info about the student, such as their name, address, birth date, social security number, etc. The second section is your school selection. This is where you list who is going to get your FAFSA information. You can list up to 10 schools here on this section of the FAFSA, and the school that is listed first gets dibs on the state of Michigan grant. So, for example, Davenport University is a private university, which means that we're able to offer state of Michigan grants, such as the Michigan Tuition Grant. However, in order to be eligible to receive the Michigan Tuition Grant, you have to have 1, a need for it, and 2, be planning to attend a private school. Therefore, if Davenport isn't in that #1 spot on your FAFSA, you'll lose out on almost $2,800 if you're eligible for it. So again, the first school should be a private school, even if you're considering both private and public universities. The third section is your dependency status. So what does it mean if a student isn't living with their parents or being claimed by them on their tax forms? For FAFSA purposes, it does not make your student an independent student when it comes to federal student aid. A student will continue to be considered a dependent of their parents on the FAFSA until one of 4 things happens. They get married, they have children, they become a member or veteran of the military, or they turn 24. So most likely, most high school students as incoming freshmen will be considered dependent students. This means that the student is going to need their parents' income information in order to complete the FAFSA successfully. Many times I also get asked, what happens if I live with both of my parents? Who has to fill out the FAFSA for me if they live in different households? The answer is, if you live with both of your parents truly equally, 50-50, so half of the time you're with mom and mom's household, half of the time you're in dad's household, and both mom and dad pay for your living expenses equally, then you should fill out the FAFSA according to the parent who has the lesser income. This will just enable you to have a higher need for some of that federal and state aid that is offered. The fourth section of the FAFSA is your parent demographic information. So parents, this is where all of your information is going to go. You're going to complete it with your own information. It's going to ask for your date of birth, your social security number, your current marital status, your household size, so everyone that lives with you and or that you provide more than 50% support for. How many people in the household will be in college, not including parents. All of that information helps to compute your student's EFC number or expected family contribution number at the end of the FAFSA. The fifth section is going to be financial information for both the parent and the student. For the 2021-2022 aid year, the FAFSA is going to be based on the 2019 tax information. So your FAFSA will always be filled out with your taxes from 2 years prior. Your best bet when filling out your financial information on your FAFSA is to use the data retrieval tool button that is embedded within the FAFSA website. This actually will take you out to the IRS website and allow you to import your income information directly from the IRS, and it lessens the chances of your student being selected for any type of verification when you do this. In order to use the data retrieval button, you will need your FSA ID, which you created before even starting the FAFSA. You will also need your mailing address from your 2019 tax forms in order to use the data retrieval button. I definitely encourage you to have your taxes in front of you, because if you don't type in your address and your filing status exactly as your taxes list, then you'll get an error and you won't be able to import the income information in directly. If you choose not to use the data retrieval button, you can use your federal 1040 form to complete the FAFSA instead. You also know that you aren't eligible to use the data retrieval button if you did not file taxes in 2019 as well. If that's the case, then again, you can list any wages from your 2019 W-2 or your 1099 form. One common mistake that I see happen over and over again is that parents will input their students' income information or vice versa in the different sections of the FAFSA. So please make sure where it's anytime it's asking for your student your information, you're filling it out as the student and you're putting in the student's income information. Anytime that it's asking for parent, that of course is the parent's income information. The last step of the FAFSA is to sign and submit your FAFSA. When you sign and submit your FAFSA using your FSA ID, you'll get this success confirmation page here under signature status. It shows you that you electronically signed with both your student FSA ID and your parent FSA ID. Once you submit this, so it's important that you not only sign, but then click the bottom button that says submit my FAFSA now. Once you do that, the FAFSA spits out your EFC number, which again stands for the expected family contribution. This is the number that determines your financial aid eligibility. The lower the EFC number is, the more aid you are eligible to receive. All right, so we talked about some of the FAFSA basics and applying for your FSA ID. Now we'll jump into the different types of financial aid that are available to your students. So there are two main types of financial aid that are available: gift aid or free money, money that doesn't have to be paid back, And then loans or borrowed money. This is money that does have to be paid back. Gift aid, within that, or the free money, there are a couple different types of gift aid. The first being scholarships. So scholarships are based on merit, such as a GPA or a skill or unique characteristic that the student may have. There are also other essay or competitive based scholarships out there as well, where you might need to write an essay in order to be considered for it. Again, scholarships do not have to be paid back. And there are scholarships that are both internal from the college or university that you're interested in, and then external scholarships as well that might be offered through like a community foundation or a credit union. There we go. For example, here at Davenport, we do offer merit-based scholarships, such as the University President Scholarship in the amount of $10,000 per year. In order to be eligible for the University President Scholarship, you do need to have a 3.9 GPA and apply for it. And we do select 5 University President Scholarship recipients each year. The other merit-based scholarships that are listed underneath the University President Scholarship here, such as the Excellence, Achievement, and Signature, are automatic based on your GPA from your high school transcripts. So for example, with a 3.0 GPA or less, so getting accepted to the university here, you are eligible for $5,000 per year, every year you're at Davenport for up to 4 years. So that totals a total scholarship amount over the course of 4 years of $20,000. Other academic or other scholarships that Davenport does offer as well are competitive scholarships. This is where I talked about you might have to have a certain skill set or write an essay in order to be considered for those, such as our Ford, MLK, and Si Se Puede Cesar Chavez scholarships. These scholarships are all full tuition and again competitive, so we only select one recipient for those each year. Additionally, here at Davenport University, we do have a number of foundation scholarships that are made possible through generous donations from our alumni just like you. The second type of gift aid that is out there, more free money, money that doesn't need to be paid back, are federal Pell Grants. The federal Pell Grant is based on your EFC, again, that expected family contribution number. So for example, if your EFC number is 0, your maximum amount of Pell Grant that you'll receive in the 2021 aid year is $6,345. This amount fluctuates with the cost of living each year, but it's around $6,400. Additional grant monies out there is the federal SEOG grant, which stands for Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. This is a very limited fund, and that's why it's so important to file your FAFSA early, and the amount does vary depending on need for students. So the key to getting the FSEOG grant is to have a need for it and file your FAFSA early. The third type of grant offered is the Tuition Incentive Program, or you may have heard it referred to as TIP. This goes to qualified students who have received some type of state assistance at some point during their educational career. The student will receive a letter from the state of Michigan near the end of their senior year letting them know of their eligibility. There are 2 years of TIP eligibility that are awarded to a student who does receive the grant. TIP 1 is a maximum amount of $3,212 for the first year, and TIP 2 is a maximum amount of $1,000 for the second year. The next type of grant that I want to mention is our MTG, or Michigan Tuition Grant. I made mention to this earlier when talking about the importance of putting a private school in the #1 spot on your FAFSA if you are considering more than one school. The MTG last year was awarded at $2,800 for the academic year. Now, please know that amount does vary by the state of Michigan budget each year, but that's a nice amount of free money that your student doesn't have to pay back. Every little bit helps, right? So the second type of financial aid that is available is borrowed money or loans. So loans, there are 2 types of loans when it comes to student loans: subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. Subsidized loans, again, are awarded based on financial need. They have a really low interest rate of 4.53%. And the subsidized loan does not accrue interest while your student is in school at least half time. They do get 6 months after graduation before they go into repayment as well. Both subsidized and unsubsidized loans are in the student's name, so the student is financially responsible for them. The second type of federal loan or Stafford loan for the student is the unsubsidized loan, or unsub loan, you might hear it referred to as. This does not require a specific EFC number or a specific financial need. The interest rate is low on this one as well, but the difference is that this loan does accrue interest while the student is in school. However, it does also student the 6 months grace period before they go into repayment. So a student will not have to pay back either of the federal Stafford loans until 6 months after graduation or until they stop attending school at least half time for 6 months. The last type of loan to mention here today is the Parent Plus loan. The Parent Plus loan is a federal credit-based loan in the parent's name. So the parent is financially responsible for it. It is a separate application process. Applications open May of the student's senior year. So May 1st, the parent can apply for a Parent Plus loan, and that application can be completed at studentaid.gov. The interest rate is 7.08% at this time. And a really nice thing about the Parent Plus loan is that the payments can be deferred while the student is in school as well. So you as a parent, even though the loan is your responsibility, you don't have to make any payments on it while your student is in school at least half time. One thing that I really wanted to point out today when asked to come speak is that there is definitely aggregate loan limits or lifetime loan limits when you think about paying for school. And it's so important to know your limits. It's important that both you and your student know how much you can borrow during the lifetime of your education, and always know that you can track to see exactly where you and your student are at studentaid.gov. Again, you'll use your FSA ID for that. The limit for an independent student is $57,500 per year, and the limit for a dependent student, which is what most incoming freshmen will be, is $31,000 a year. It's definitely a common misnomer that the amount of loans that you can take out is infinite, but there really definitely is a lifetime limit for that. All right, so now we have talked about how to develop that college vision for what it is that you are interested in your college experience. And we've talked about some basic financial aid tips and how to go about filling out the FAFSA. So the third thing, or the last thing that we'll talk about today, is the college timeline. So during the freshman and sophomore years, it's never too early to start. I highly encourage freshmen and sophomore in high school to start attending macro college fairs. College fairs are awesome because they put a bunch of universities in one place at one time from all over the state of Michigan and from all over the country sometimes as well, and give you the opportunity to kind of go from table to table to ask questions that you might have about that university. So asking if they offer the program that you're interested in is a really good start. If you have younger siblings, take them along with you. It's never too soon to start looking into colleges. Even though we're in this COVID world, many college fairs are still happening, but in a virtual booth format where you still can pop in and out to certain breakout rooms in order to ask questions of the college representatives. So definitely get in touch with your high schools and look at those as well. During your junior year is really when you should begin thinking about those 3 key areas we talked about and developing that vision for your dream college. Start researching and start visiting during your junior year of high school. And then senior year is when things really take off. There's lots of deadlines and lots of timelines to consider. First, in September and October is when you should really focus on completing your college application. So all of your admissions applications, you should focus on getting those filled out, submitted, whether it's the essay, and then sending your transcripts and test scores to the universities that require it. October is also the time, if you recall, October 1 is when the FAFSA opens. Filling out the FAFSA sooner than later is your best bet. In November is when you can, and again, this is all of your senior year. In November is when you should really start to meet with admissions one-on-one to compare financial aid award letters and visit the university again, especially if you're trying to make a decision between a couple of really close competitors. December is when most universities open their commitments. Some universities will have a commitment fee and some will not. Here at Davenport University, we don't require a commitment fee. However, for those students that do commit by December 31st each year, they do get an additional $2,000 grant called the Panther Preferred Grant. In January, most universities or colleges do open their housing application, and we encourage you to apply earlier rather than later for housing so that you can secure your spot in the residence halls or dorms. In February of your senior year, most universities do open their freshman orientation registration. Most universities have multiple orientation dates throughout the summer that you can get signed up for. Here at Davenport, we encourage you to register for the earliest registration date that is at your convenience, because that is the day that you do get your student course schedule, and many universities are the same way. In March, that is your FAFSA deadline. So although the FAFSA, you can continue to submit your FAFSA after March 1st, March 1st is the priority processing deadline, which is if your FAFSA isn't filled out and submitted by March 1st, then you'll miss out on some really generous grant opportunities. April is kind of a down month. We don't have a lot that usually happens in April, but then May 1st is National Decision Day. So most universities will make a big deal about May 1st and that being National Decision Day. I do want to go back really quick to February. I did forget to mention that February 1st is typically the commitment deadline for most Big Ten schools as well, although May is the National Decision Day. June, July, and August are when most incoming freshmen attend freshman orientation. So again, like I said, different dates throughout the summer. In July, most universities send you your roommate assignment so that you can start to get acquainted with each other and start to plan who's bringing what to your dorm room. And then in August, most universities have their move-in day. Typically, everyone doesn't all move into campus over the same day, but usually you have like a different day throughout a week that will be assigned to you as your move-in day. And then in September, most classes start right after the holiday weekend there. So again, a long deadline, lots to do during your college year, but definitely doable when you break it down into small bits and pieces. One of the important things as well is stay in contact with your admissions representative. I can't stress enough how important it is to communicate with your admissions rep at whatever university it might be, as they are the gatekeeper of the information and these very important timelines and deadlines, and they can keep you notified of when you need to complete what steps next. All right, so today we talked about a lot of information. And some key takeaways or key things to remember from today are to develop that college vision early, definitely within your junior year, and you're going to want to consider the three key areas: academic and student life, admissions requirements, and the demographics or the feel of the university. And then there are three common ways to pay for college. That's scholarships and grants. That's the free money, the good money, the money that you don't have to pay back. And then loans as well, which are definitely a great option to help you finance your education. After all, your education is an investment that you're making in yourself. It's really important that you spend time with your student developing the college vision ask your student what is important to them when it comes to college. And when you finally visit, it should feel right and make them excited to be on campus. Also, don't forget, file your FAFSA early, as close to October 1st as you possibly can. And then lastly, again, make sure your student is communicating with their admissions rep so they don't miss out on important deadlines and timelines. Check their email, check their voicemail. I think that's a thing of the past. Students don't really check that very often anymore, but we are sending important information during those different modes of communication. So all in all, helping your student plan their college future is a very exciting, can be a little bit of a scary time, but I hope that you found today's information beneficial and useful, and we thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, I would definitely be happy to answer those now.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. I will give a moment again as a reminder. If anyone has any questions, they can drop them in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see a purple button. If you open that up, there is a chat function there. And as we wait, we'll see if anything comes in. As a reminder to everyone, this is recorded, so if there was anything that you missed, have no fear. We will send this out in an email along with a survey, so please keep an eye on your email for the link to this video recording as well as a survey. And Alyssa, at this time, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. So I just wanted to say thank you again. This was really valuable information. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out, or Alyssa has listed on this screen, visit davenport.edu/admissionsaid. And we thank everyone for attending. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.